What's up? Welcome to the Existential Stoic podcast. Did you ever struggle learning? Do you feel like you need a teacher, like an instructor, somebody to guide you through the process? Well, today you're in luck because we're going to talk about how to learn on your own. I'm Danny, everybody. Randy, what's up, Randy?
Yo, Danny.
Did you ever struggle with like being self-taught or learning on your own?
Honestly, I struggled a lot more with the traditional education system, other people trying to teach me how to learn by their
Yeah.
antiquated methods, having me read The Scarlet Letter and Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre and all these books that really were useful in the development of my life.
Yeah, right. It is funny. You encounter so much that's unnecessary, I feel like. And our education system hasn't been updated in like forever, literally. And like there's definitely better ways to do it, and there's so many more options now. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. So we each have a few tips for you for this quick fix. I'm going to start. My first one, and this one I learned myself a long time ago, but I think it's really crucial, is learn through projects. Literally, like if you want to learn something, go do it. You know, decide on something you want to do, whether it's like develop a web page, write a chapter of a book, whatever it is, get that set up so you know your objective and just start doing it. You'll encounter problems. That'll teach you what you need to overcome and what skills you need to actually do the thing you want to do.
Dude, that's a brilliant one. I was talking with this dude the other day who wants to be a New York Times bestseller. Okay. And so he's all butthurt because the New York Times won't respond to his like pleadings to become a New York Times bestseller or whatever. And I was like, there's literally another author who his name is Brandon Burchard. He wrote this book, Millionaire Messenger, and he basically wrote like an 8-step thing for how to be a New York Times bestseller. He did all this stuff. He didn't have any connections or anything. He did all this stuff. He
Yeah.
researched all the other New York Times bestsellers, and this is what you need to do. And it's just like he basically created a project, did it, and accomplished it. Whereas this other dude's like the traditional education system. I need these people to validate me so that I can do this and blah blah blah. And it's just like
Yeah.
write the damn book, follow the steps, you'll have a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. And just keep doing it. Don't stop and don't rely on others because, half the
Mm-hmm.
time that validation's unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good one. Projects is the way to go because I learned that for myself. You can either go to school, learn a whole bunch of outdated material from people who have never actually done it in their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
In practice. Yeah.
yeah. Or you could just go do it and learn like everybody else because guess what? Whether you go to school or not, you're going to have to learn it on the job anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first one for how to learn by yourself is ask better questions. So this comes from back in the day, a time long, long ago before Chat GPT.
Ooh.
People always used to
AI.
be blown away how like I knew how to fix anything technology related, and they're like, "How do you know that?" And I was like, "I search Google." Like,
Yeah.
what do
Not
you
that hard.
expect? But actually, they'd be like, "I tried and like, I can't find it," and it's like you have to ask better questions. If you can't just search like nonsense, you're going to get nonsense back. But if you know exactly how to search, and this is developing with AI, different things like that, if you can ask good questions, you can get really good answers, and then you can learn from that.
That is a good one though. And it's like one of the ones I think that's overlooked. Like just asking questions takes time too to develop that skill to understand like how do I need to phrase this? I know, it's funny you mentioned ChatGPT because I know even interacting with that because I've used it a bunch. Like I've noticed like how you craft your prompts matters so much to the response you get and to getting the right response. And so like actually like, giving it some information about what you're doing and making it more specific and tailored to like your actual needs. Because a lot of times people ask general questions instead of really explicit specific questions to the problem they're focused on. And I think, yeah, you got to ask better questions to get the right answers. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
My second one is one we talk about all the time, but read. There's tons of people out there that have done these things, researched them, studied them, put out books, and like I forget you mentioned it before. It's like you can become an expert in almost anything by reading like the top 5 books in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
really, you can. And like I think when you read, especially if you're trying to learn something new, take your time and actually engage with the reading. If it's got exercises, do the exercises. If it doesn't, if it's like theory and you're trying to learn it, take your time, write down notes, have a journal, like think about the ideas, go through them. That's the best way to just do it and learn.
Yeah, if I heard Les Brown once say that if you read one book a month in the field of your choice, in 5 years you'll be among the topmost experts in that field. Like you'll know more than pretty much anyone else in the world in that field. So it's just like, well, what's your field of choice? Why aren't you doing it? And then the other thing that you mentioned, like anything that you want to do, somebody's already done it. somebody who's done it to a better degree than you want to do it, and somebody who started from worse starting point than you started from, and they did it. So what are you waiting for?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, right? That anybody can do anything. It's like there's nothing holding you
Mm-hmm.
back.
Yeah. So my next one is focus. This is an acronym for follow one course until successful.
Oh, I
And this
like
is
that.
something I constantly have to remind myself because I can try and do 40 different things at the same time. And
Yeah.
it's not very effective. When I focus on one thing and I make that one thing the most important thing and I put all of my primary energies towards that thing, then I can move mountains. But like when I start getting scattered and trying to do a whole bunch of things at once, just not able to do it. So when you want to learn, you can't be like, oh yeah, I want to like lose 100 pounds. I want to have a six pack. I want to be an Instagram influencer. I want to be jet setting around the world. I want to have a supermodel girlfriend. I want to have this, that, the other thing, a mansion, 5 swimming pools, Lamborghini. And it's like, no, you focus on one thing at a time. Okay. To the exclusion of everything else, focus on one thing, learn that one thing, become the best at that one thing until that becomes automatic. And then you can move on to the next thing.
And you build slowly from there. You just keep adding to it, right? That's a good one. I like that too, because I think, it's easy. Like I know myself, and I think that's one thing I've always benefited from with like learning myself is that I really do like hyper focus on things. So I tend to do like one thing for like a period of time, then I'll switch to something else, and I switch back and all. But it does, by just focusing on it for a while, it enables you to see the problem better, to understand it better, to get just more in depth. And it's funny, the more I learn about anything, the more I realize that most people don't know what they're doing that do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's like most of it is like guesswork. It's like you're solving new problems almost all the time anymore. So it's like you just got to come up with answers and just be confident enough that you can actually do it. See, I
Mm-hmm.
think that one's really good. It goes nicely too with my last one, which is just clear objectives. I think this is one of the things that messes up people when they try to learn on their own. I see it all the time, even when I'm teaching students. It's like you want to learn something, but you get scatterbrained. You're looking at all these different ideas. You don't have a clear sense of where you're trying to go with this or what the purpose is. Like, do you want to get a job? Do you just want, is this just a fun hobby? Is it just an interest that just makes your life better? It just enriches you? Like, what is the purpose? Why are you doing it? What's your objective? Understand that, and it makes it way easier to stay focused and do it.
Yeah. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. I think
Yeah,
that was the Cheshire Cat who said that one.
that's a good
But
one, though.
yeah, so like having clearly defined objectives, because then at the end of the day or at the end of the week or month, you can say, am I closer to this objective? And you'll know yes, as opposed to like, I want to be rich. It's like, am I
Yeah,
closer to that? I don't know. What's the metrics? Yeah.
yeah,
Bingo. So my last one is lay one brick at a time. And there's two pieces to this. So this comes from like the Will Smith story about how his dad knocked down a wall and told him and his brother to build it. It took the entire summer to build it. They were like, there's no way we can do that. But eventually they laid brick after brick. At the end of the summer, they built the wall. And their dad said, well, now don't tell me there's anything you can't do. So, lovely story, wonderful. But here's the thing, it actually works. So like
yeah, it
if you
does.
if you can yeah, if you consistently work at anything, just little pieces, chip away at it, and you lay one brick one day at a time. What can I do today that's in the direction of the goal that I want? And you do it every day, and you just do it consistently and break it into little pieces. You're going to get there. There's no way you can't get there. But it's like I know from my own experience. Up front, I'm like so motivated to do work, so I load it all up front. I'm doing a whole bunch of work, and then I get burned out after a week or two, and I'm like, oh, I can't keep up that pace. So I have to tell myself when I start new things that like the first 2 weeks, it's going to seem like I'm doing nothing because
Yeah.
I have to stop myself from doing too much.
No, that's a really good one. They say the journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step, right? That's all it is. And I really like that too, because it's funny. I ran into this problem the other day. I was talking to someone, and they're like, we were talking about actually computers and technology. Like, it's so confusing. I'm like, but you're looking at it from the outside in. You're looking at the finished product. So it is really confusing because you're seeing a final thing. But if you look at how it's made, it's like really little tiny pieces put together that slowly build up to that thing. And everything's like that. When you're looking from the outside in, it looks confusing and complicated because you're looking at a finished product. And I think most people, that's what throws them off. They get these ideas and they think, oh, there's no way I could do that. It's like, but everybody that did it in little incremental steps. They didn't do the whole thing at once. They weren't just suddenly masters at it. So that's a great one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also like most of these people who have like yeah, this whole concept of success that like you just have this like world-ending success where it's happily ever after. It's never like that. Like everybody who's contributed, read Steve Jobs' biography. People worship the guy, but he was an absolute jerk. And
He
like
was.
he failed at pretty much everything in his life aside from creating astounding Apple products. That
And
was
he
it.
and the people that worked for him it wasn't that great to work for him.
No,
Like, yeah.
no, he was terrible. But like you look at any of these successes, and pretty much they're abysmal in every area of their life except for this one area that we worship them for. So like, you have to take your own successes and failures with a grain of salt.
It's a really good one too. I think that's a really good point to make. See it all the time. So there you have it then. How to learn. It's a quick fix. We'll be back later this week with a full-length episode. Check us out wherever you get your podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, watch us on YouTube. But until then, later, Randy.
Later, Danny.